Josh, I got a question for you. If you were to try to solve the cybersecurity, like with all the hacking, like trying to put a stop to all the people hacking and just really get a
Ah,
handle on the cybersecurity problem in the world, like how would you handle it? Like, what's your thoughts on it? Like, what'd be your what'd be some of the things you would do?
I don't know because you can't really stop people from hacking. That even if they're like I was gonna say like my instinctual response would be like the only reason people hack is for like some kind of economic reason, but that's like not even true, right? Because even if they don't get anything out of it, like the teenager is still gonna like hack stuff because they think it's funny. So you can't really modify behavior on a global scale. It's like basically impossible to do. But you can mitigate the success of hacks by, I think, in my opinion, like the strongest way to do that is like user education, because it's really hard to hack me, and it's probably really hard to hack all the people in this call. At least harder than like it is to hack like just someone's grandma. So like really heavy emphasis on user education would prevent like a lot of hacks from happening, and then making everyone use multi-factor authentication will like perfect user education and multi-factor authentication will like stop probably like 99 point like something percent of all hacks. But user behavior modification on a global scale is like, to me it's like basically impossible. You'd have to like implement some, what is that, like no exceptions death penalty for someone hacking, something those like hardcore countries do about like drug laws or something. You probably have to do something like that on a global scale, but even then like it'd be hard. It's hard to like modify behavior. But yeah, let me answer them. This question, Tracy says, when applying for jobs, would it be better to move to one of the top 10 tech cities, or better your odds of landing position, or not necessarily? I'm currently not in a big tech area, but planning to move to Colorado this year. I actually made a video that talks about this. This is my 2 cents. I'm really interested to hear people's thoughts on this. I'm kind of crazy in the sense that I can just like live anywhere and I don't really care. So if I was like really desperate to get a job, I would make my, do that whole like roadmap and make my everything like S tier essentially. And then I would just search for like countrywide, like those flyover states, especially because, like Columbus, Ohio, maybe there'll be like a security analyst position, and it has like 3 applicants or something. This is just like a random example. And then that same position, like security analyst or whatever in Los Angeles, it will have like 1,300 applicants, and they're all try hards because they're living in Los Angeles. So if you submit like 10 high quality applications per day, and they're all at like Columbus, Ohio ish type locations where there's very few applicants, you're just like much higher to get interviews and like get a job sooner rather than later. But of course, the problem with this is like you kind of have like a roulette of where you're going to be moving to or whatever, and you have to like deal with the logistics of applying to like somewhere remote and then having to move there. But living, if you live in like some rural area and you're only willing to work in that area, it's gonna suck, and it's gonna take a long time to get a job. I think in that case, if you're not willing to like live anywhere, it's probably better to like go to one of the tech hubs. And like Denver is like becoming like a bigger and bigger tech hub, so it's probably better to move to Denver. But in terms of like just getting a job fast, I just would, this is a crazy thing to do, but just apply to like all those areas where people like don't want to live, and only submit applications to those places, and a lot. And your like conversion rate in terms of like your request for interview is going to be way higher that way. Just, it's just, you might have to live in like Anchorage, Alaska, or some like dumb place. Not that Anchorage, Alaska is dumb, but it's not like, probably
Hey,
somewhere
I live in
where you want to
Alaska.
move. Sorry. Don't hate me.
I hate you.
No. I just.
Yes, I got a question here. Sorry to
Oh, what's
interrupt.
up?
Yeah, so like talking about like changing the locations, or like applying to any location. Personally, like I'm pretty much like you. I don't mind about moving. And on that one, do you think like if we are putting our location at the resume, so does it matter? Because I have like got calls from companies. They're taking telling me like, okay, we're not in the same place, so I told them like I'm open to relocate, but then they hired someone else from that location. So it happened with me like quite a few, two times at least. So do you think should we take out the location from the resume, or how should we deal with that?
I'm not really ethical in terms of like, some people are like, I can't lie, I have to follow the rules. Like I don't really do like any of those things like at all. So if I were doing it, so basically I would do like a different resume for every application I submit. I talk about this anyways in the cyber range or in the cyber community. Anyway, I would do like a different resume for every single application that I submit. And then if I was like really doing that strategy to apply to like different cities like around the country, I would probably like I would probably put the look. Well, I don't even put my address to be honest, like on my resume, anyways. But if that's something that you did, see how like I have like a column for resume use, and like every job that I apply to would like have a different one. So you could like you could add like a column here that's like location or something, and then you could put like the city and state in the resume if you wanted to, and then when you apply to that particular job you could put your city and the state, and then when they ask you you can just be like, oh, I'm still in Seattle, but I have to like move out there because my like wife or whatever has got a job or something like this. I actually said that when I moved to Hawaii. It was not actually true what I said, but they ended up hiring me anyway. And then I moved to Hawaii and I worked there for like a year.
All right, Gilly, I got a question for you, Gilly. And I guess until Josh get back.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you ever used Microsoft Copilot security? Have you guys ever used that at your job, or is that something up and coming, or what? What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it is if you don't have a defined use case for it, being like depending on the size of your team, like the large language learning models, right? Like I would definitely like it, right? I would definitely like for my company to invest in it. It would make my life a whole lot easier. But I'd recommend I think Microsoft now their learning module, their learning platform has gotten significantly better, and like periodically they will do like these challenges that give you free, not free, but you know what I mean. They'll do these like AI challenges, and so I think it's at least once you get you land your first security job and they're a Microsoft shop. If they don't have um, if they don't have Security Copilot for yet, I have a feeling that Microsoft, hopefully they evolve it a little bit more. It's just pretty new.
Okay, it's pretty
Um,
new. Okay.
it's not like, at least if you work for a company that has like government regulations and data regulations, you kind of got to be careful with what you do with AI,
Yeah, the logs. Yeah.
especially on the security side, and you don't want there to be like a convergence of the, I don't know, like there's this element of information protection and then there's cybersecurity, right? So you have like data retention and these classification label side, and then you have like the incident response side or the analytics side. So I would say it's definitely worth knowing about, moving in the
Okay.
future. Like be aware of it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I should. I guess Josh still trying to connect. Shoot, one more question for you. What's the difference for you between Microsoft Defender and Microsoft XDR? Like, what's the difference?
So Microsoft is trying to unify their security platform, right? So right now the cyber range is really good. And I think maybe I haven't really gotten into it too heavy yet because I'm going through my masters right now, and so I'm
Yeah.
hoping once I finish that I can like dive a little deeper into it. But um, Microsoft XDR is kind of like the unification of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Microsoft Defender for Office 365, Microsoft Defender for Cloud Ops, and now like that XDR platform is trying to unify Sentinel into it as well. So you have this kind of single
Hmm.
pane of glass. But technically, Microsoft Sentinel is built off of Azure, right? And
Yeah.
then you flow in the connectors from all of those other, like 365 and all of that. So, um, does that
Yeah, that makes sense.
they're trying to unify everything.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured because I was looking at it. I was like, okay, they got like five different products that almost do the same thing. Some go a little bit deeper than others, but yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Josh, you back?
Yeah. Thanks for that explanation. I heard most of it. And that's kind of, I was kind of wondering that too. It seemed like that's the case, but I'm glad to hear that from you.
Hey Josh, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so someone that's like relatively new in the cybersecurity industry, um, I'm actually going to my first cybersecurity event in the next 2 weeks, and I want to kind of like talk about this course that I'm taking with you. What's the best way to like network and like kind of get my name out there after like while incorporating this, I guess?
Damn. I'm not a good person to ask this because I don't even like go to those events and do networking, but I think like a good thing to default on is I don't know, try to like learn as much as you can, and then just I guess what I learned from Alex Hormozy is like when you go to those events, try to like give as much as you can because everyone, can you hear me? Everyone kind of has like something. So if you learn a lot and you're able to like learn a lot of vulnerability management or something, and you have a good intuition for it, then you can try to find like some other people there who are new, and just try to help them and be like, oh, this helped me. I'm not trying to like shill my course or whatever, but I'm just saying like the best way to like get people to like I guess like you, for lack of a better word, is to like help them. So try to provide as much value as you can. Because if you do that, like people kind of like tend to gravitate towards you anyway, and I think it's a good way to like spread goodwill and like get your name out. So just think of like ways that you can share something that might help them that you did, if that makes sense. But yeah, do you want to like Gilly or anyone else? Do you want to like add on to that? Because I don't really go to networking events. I just doing YouTube.
Yeah. So there's this idea of like trade association. So if I was at one of those networking events and I saw like a way to plug my learning, so not to plug Josh, but I'd be like, hey, if you haven't heard of, you know, Josh, this is kind of what I've been working through. I've been working through this cyber range, and here's what I like about it. People tend to associate those positive traits in the conversation rather than if I were to go into the networking event and I'm like, I'm Gilly, I'm the greatest, I know everything. Like it kind of comes off as some of the people at those networking events are they come in wanting to kind of flaunt and be not saying that it's the case for everything, but like um I think it's a good idea to plug the giants that have brought us up to where we're at. So like for me, early on, I'm just going to be honest, it was Professor Messer who helped me pass Security Plus, right? And so everywhere I went, when somebody was asking me questions about how'd you pass, I'd say, well, I used Professor Messer. And then from 2013 on, all of these other creators started making security content. It was kind of a weird um, dynamic, but plugging resources and tools where there's a potential gap at those networking events is um, really handy.
And to go off of that, like there's a lot of weird personality in tech in general, but especially in cybersecurity. So if you're like a really humble, if you're humble and then people realize that you're actually like really good, it kind of like 10x's their perception of you, versus if you're actually really good and you're kind of arrogant about it, people like tend to like, people will not like, they won't like it, for lack of a better word. But yeah, generally like I don't want you to like be like try to like plug me or something like this. I want to be like clear about those, but just spread goodwill and like share stuff that's helped you, like Gilly said. And if people get value out of it, they'll just like remember you, and then you can ask them to like connect on LinkedIn or something like this. But just be nice. I always tell people, because I'm like really awkward in person, but as long as if I can default on just being nice and providing value for people, I'll like get by like, okay enough,
Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me? All right. So I have a very short questions, and it's gonna sound a little bit weird, but this is my first encounter with cybersecurity, and your course is kind of like very detailed, and it's very easy for me to just like have an idea of what the cybersecurity is all about. But I just want to have more better understanding of this course as the first person coming into this field. What do you suggest I do? Is it watch the videos, or do I have a practice questions in the cyber range that I need to practice? Because I'm this kind of person, I learn more when I work with it, like hands on, together with what I read or the videos that I see. I'll be able to connect the dots. That's how I learn a little bit faster. So what do you suggest I do for me coming into the cybersecurity space for the first time?
Yeah. So from like a super like basic, like fundamental building. So this is what I would do if you're like brand new to the community, and I hope someone can like add on to this afterwards. But basically I have this like, in the classroom section under general cybersecurity theory, like the very top one, this like covering all your bases. This whole thing is basically for like building your foundation, or like your, I guess, fundamental understanding of cybersecurity. And it's just stuff that I kind of recommend you to do. So basically, like there's 2 different podcasts I recommend people to listen to. There's a lot, but I just prefer these ones. Like CyberWire Daily, it's just like a daily news source for cybersecurity events around the world. It's like really highly produced. And then Darknet Diaries, it just talks about past cyber events, like stuff that's happened in our industry. And then videos like Professor Messer, he covers like the very basic fundamentals of cybersecurity, like that being security plus. Gilly was kind of talking about him a few minutes ago. And then there's some security plus practice exams to go along with the security plus videos. And we made these practice exams. A lot of people use them and have used it to pass. So this is like really good for like getting a good fundamental like understanding of cybersecurity. And then on top of this, if you just realize like all cybersecurity really is preventing like the loss of money and the loss of life through like attacks on computers, for example. Like businesses need cybersecurity because they don't want to lose money through cyber attacks and like breaches, right? And then the military needs cybersecurity for the same reason, but also to like prevent the loss of life and like, prevent attacks on our global infrastructure, or attacks on our infrastructure to like, ruining the country, essentially. It's just protecting computers to prevent the loss of money and loss of life. So basically, I'll just like go through this module, like keep those things in mind, and then just like listen to these podcasts, and then do these like basic, go over the basic videos and like practice questions. And eventually you'll get like a good intuition for like what cybersecurity is like at a high level. And then all the rest of the stuff, like vulnerability management and like threat hunting, those are all just like fancy ways to like do this like really, really basic stuff, if that makes sense. Cool. Yeah. Anyone want to add on to those? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. Yeah, I remember my first job as a software developer. We did a lot of vulnerability management scanning, and I watched a lot of videos before I started actually working there. I did a few actual scans. When I got there, most jobs, as Josh has said, you pretty much get those to the wolves, but because they pretty much not going to train you, like he said on one of the videos. Josh, the little funny skit Josh did, and watching actually doing it, like doing it over and over and over and over. It's like the repetition, like military people shooting, training. The military people, they can go in there and watch videos all day. Those videos don't, it translate a little over to the real life. Okay, I give you an example. A lot of people that play a lot of Call of Duty games, a lot of first person shooter games. I remember I was training some of these guys. These guys thought they was actually in the game. The real world is way different than that. So when they start actually doing what they needed to do and actually doing it, not just theory no more, that's when it starts sticking. So I would tell anybody, just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Gil and other people can speak to that, like I said, because a lot of them thought the video game translated over, the first person shooter game translated over to actual tactical shooting and stuff like that. But it was like, this don't really translate over. I didn't get killed 100 times in real world, But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, speaking as a soldier and a NCO that trains soldiers on some of the, you would have people come in from Call of Duty, right? And they would go into basic training thinking that warfare is like Call of Duty, and we'd have to train them out of that. So uh, there's definitely an element of that, but like a few things that, if you leave all of the technical aside, there's elements, this idea of soft skills in cybersecurity, and I'm certain Josh has a video on it on YouTube. But before, this is why I liked being like having a solid understanding of customer service and knowing how to articulate technical things and put them into a way that a user or that an executive may understand. And so your first cybersecurity job may not be for like a Microsoft or for a big company. It may be for a small to medium sized company that doesn't know shit about cybersecurity, and you just making a 1% more secure than they were yesterday, that that could be extremely beneficial. And so there's also like there's so much resources out there, and so the way I kind of like to uh, train people is think of it in terms of domains. There's so many different cybersecurity jobs, but if you pick a domain and you learn it and you break it up and you really understand it, there's probably a job in that specific domain. Like just take identity, securing identity, for example, or cloud security. I went through like an intro to cloud security class a couple days ago, and he was saying for the most part, conceptually, cloud security is pretty similar across GCP, Azure, AWS. And so, and maybe Josh can speak more to it because he's more of a cloud guru than I am, but like, sorry to take the mic for so long, but that's my 2 cents.
My question is like it's pretty much similar with the job and interview as well and working. So if I'm like practicing through the cyber range, or like I bought another course from you before and it helps a lot, right? But there are a few things, for example, like there are some security design questions, like you kind of have that intuition, grow that one, but still in the real world it's like pretty different. So how do you manage those knowledge? Let's say if you are getting asked a question in the interview and you just want to do the best explanation, so how do you practice for that or gain the knowledge for that one?
Yeah, that's hard
Josh, I
because.
have a,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
we kind of talked about it in the last week, but like build yourself a second brain. If you guys don't have one, create like whether it's a OneNote, and like if you have an interview, for the most part you're going to have a general idea. I feel like most of us have a general idea of the things that you need to prep for, and Josh gives a good idea of that. But Josh can't manage our knowledge. We have to do that ourselves. And so whether it's creating somebody mentioned Obsidian last week. I use my own Discord server, and I organize by topic, by channel, and then I just pump resources in there. And so if I have a feeling or that suspicion that my boss is going to ask me about secure firewall configuration, I'm just going to quickly get conceptually. I don't necessarily have to be an expert at that time, but I can get a general idea of why that's important. Um, so create create your own resource dump, whether that's like a Google Chrome. And the other thing about that, and about being in the community too, is when you create that resource dump, when somebody asks, "Hey, do you have a specific resource on KQL queries?" You can kind of come in and um, share that resource, and that's the value of having the community.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that. I kind of like doing pretty same thing. Like talking about like you were telling me about OneNote maybe or Discord. So yeah, so I kind of what I'm doing like I'm trying my best to use ChatGPT or any other like LLM and writing them down in my like Notion so that whenever I'm thinking about a topic, I just go there, see it again. So that's how I'm doing it.
In terms of like a secure design specifically for what you put in your second brain, whatever you happen to use, if I was doing that, I would look up. I would probably look up like a combination between like systems design, like when it comes to like software engineering interviews, like as if you were doing a software engineering interview. Use like some systems design resource, like I think Clem Mihailescu makes a good one. It's like I think it's called Systems Expert. It costs money, but there's a lot of like systems design stuff that you can use, and then as well as try to find like some threat modeling methodology or threat modeling framework, and see how those things like relate to each other. I'm not good at threat modeling. I know there's some like methodology around it and like some framework. I don't know if like what are those like stride and dread and stuff like this. But I would get familiar with those, and then in conjunction with systems design, and then do a bunch of scenarios with them. You can probably use ChatGPT, and that would be something good to put in your second brain. I think. Yeah. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, yeah. Interviews can be interesting. I remember my first couple of interviews when I got into IT and software development. Man, I was so nervous. I answered all the questions. I did the prep. I didn't do the prep enough. And I got into the interviews, you kind of freeze up. You get the stuttering and stuff. So I would say for me, try to do as many interviews as you can and prepare as much as you can. When you get out of the interview, do a self-assessment. I mean, like what happened in the interview, what question they asked. Like, oh man, I know that. I know I could have answered that. And go back. And if you got to rehearse like me, I had to rehearse like I was talking. Okay, what's this? All right, it's this, and this, and this. All right, again, this, and this. Again, this, and this, and this. If I couldn't rattle it off like that without the jitters, you know, like I said, so I would say repetition, because somebody gonna throw a question at you that you don't know. And the thing I like to ask ChatGPT, like if I ask them a question and I think I'm satisfied with the ChatGPT answer, I say, "Hey, ChatGPT, what else can I do to make this better?" And ChatGPT will give me some answers that I didn't even think of. They give me a whole, oh, I didn't even know they go with that. I didn't know that question go with that. Okay. So it kind of make like a tree kind of thing, kind of system. But like I said, practice, practice, practice. You got to practice in the mirror, practice with ChatGPT. Just practice, practice, practice. And the more you practice the interview, the easier it get. But yeah.
Oh wow, we're talking about practice. One thing, yes. First of all, like I want to say, like interviewers are like can be very different. I remember in one of my interview, like I did everything kind of wrong, still got hired, and I was told like just because of like being
True.
honest, I
Yeah.
got hired. So that was one takeaway. But talking about practice, I heard it from like one of the videos of like Josh quite like maybe 6 months ago, and that was about practicing it loud. And I was not doing it. I don't know why, but I never did it. And what I found, like if I'm practicing at least 5 times or 3 times, and then I'm talking in the interview or somewhere else, it just comes up in your brain. Like it gets so easier. You don't have to
Yeah,
put
it
any
do.
effort to remember. So that was a like a good eye opener for me, and I've been doing that a lot now because I'm like looking for jobs. So yeah, that helps.
I think that's really good. I even do this for YouTube. If I have like a video idea that I want, I'll even like talk to myself to make it easier to talk when I make the video. It seriously does help like a lot. It's really good. Did you have your interview?
No, I didn't. It's on next Tuesday.
Okay, okay,
I'm
cool.
like pretty done with the preparation. I honestly prepared a lot, and there's a lots of things. But on the only thing I'm concerned about is the like programming part. Has not been doing that a lot, but practicing that one as well.
That's cool. I use Algo. I'm not plugging his stuff, but I used Algo Expert to study, and I could pass the. I was able to do all of the easies in there, and then a few of the mediums, and then I was able to pass Amazon security engineering interview, like a L5 security engineer at Amazon. With Algo Experts, I think I did like half the mediums and then all of the easies, and it was not easy, but I could pass it. I don't know how are you studying your programming, if I can ask.
Yeah, so what I'm doing, like, I'm going through a few lead code ones, and then uh, giving the prompt to ChatGPT, like what kind of things I might need to do for this job. And once I get those scenarios, trying to pseudocode, write the pseudocode at the first, and then practicing. But honestly, like I like even in the work, I was pretty dependent on the internet, just because like there in that time, like I was using Stack Overflow a lot. So but that's what I'm concerned about. Like if they're telling me to do some specific things, I might not be able to do it. So yeah, but in terms of practicing, I'm just doing using first of all lead code and ChatGPT.
That's good. I think that's good. I basically like. I guess Algo Expert is really similar to Leet Code, and I would load the questions into Anki, and then for example the Anki deck would present a card to me that would be like reverse a linked list, and then if I could reverse the linked list off the top of my head, I would mark the card as good, but if I couldn't, I would like implement it. My rule was I'd have to like implement it 3 times while looking at the code and then mark the card as failed, and that's kind of how I studied. I was just like repeating the leak code questions like so many times. It started like doing something to my brain at the end, and it worked like pretty good. I think leak code is like it's pretty good. People like shit on it, but it does help you to like bang out code off the top of your head pretty well.
Yeah, there was days like I used lead code a lot at one time, like when I was working in software engineering. It helps a lot. Like it gives you a very good amount of knowledge and helps you to work on the problem solving part.
Yeah, it's a good.
Hey, Josh, I got a question for either Josh or Gilly, whichever one you want to ask. When doing threat hunting, when you got new stuff like new threats that's on the in the system or on the scene, like a zero click or 0 day, do you already have preset rules set up to detect it, or when that new zero click or 0 day come in the system, you just try to find it, copy the KQL, make a rule out of it? No, it's like, what's you guys' workflow to really stay on top of like new threats that come out?
One thing I would recommend is signing up for CISA alerts, Trevino.
Who?
Um, there's CISA, CISA alerts.
Okay.
Uh, they will send. You want to know the source, right? So depending on if you're an organization, depending on what platforms they're using, you want to have basically updates from those. So let's say it's Broadcom, right? Which if they're they're having an issue with vSphere or there's a vulnerability, you want to basically craft, have some sort of SOC email. I think Josh showed his, and it was just ham cam Newton full of stuff.
Okay.
But depending on what SIM solution you're using, you could also ingest threat intelligence, which is mostly IOC based. But if you're talking like you want real time notification on vulnerabilities, then you got to get an inventory of what software we're using, an inventory of what hardware we're using. If we don't know what we have, we don't know what software we have. This is one of the key, like one of the key foundations in NIST CSF. Just speaking, going through an organization, right? I did an exercise, and they had no idea what software they had. They had no idea of their supply chain. And so it's really hard for the security team to really be effective if they don't know what they have, what their data flows are. That's where I would start, right? Understand that, and then depending on what SIM solution, they might have different ways to connect or have connectors. That's how Sentinel is, right? Sentinel has like thousands of different connectors, and once you identify what those are, you're going to basically configure those connectors. And if there is not a connector, that's why I recommend looking at who gives really good, clear, and concise information on vulnerabilities. And I think that CISA does a pretty decent job, but Josh might have more insight there.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say other than I don't know if this is like an opinion or not, but you were saying something, Trevino, about creating rules to detect 0 days and stuff. But I think like if it's like a 0 day, like it hasn't even been announced yet, it's kind of,
Yeah.
unless it's like a an anomaly based thing, it's kind of hard to create rules for 0 days, like by definition, because it's like a 0 day and like you don't know what you're looking for, unless it's like really something that's anomalous that is really obvious, like what's happening. And also like in terms of like threat hunting and then automated detection, I think by definition, someone please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but if you have like a rule to detect something, like automatically detect something, it's not really considered threat hunting. That's just like detection. And threat hunting for me is like when you are using your human brain and you see like event A, B, and C, and A, B, and C are like kind of innocuous, benign events, but in the grand scheme of things together, A, B, and C ends up being like a threat, if that makes sense. So it's kind of hard to like if you automatically detect something, by definition, it's like not really a threat hunt, I guess, if that makes sense. That's been in my brain. I don't know if someone want to like expand on that or like provide a counter.
It's kind of confusing in XDR, right? Because they call it advanced hunting in in Defender. And so I
Yeah.
could see why the threat hunting piece gets kind of intermixed into detection. But Trevino, when you're crafting analytics rules in general, whether it's
Hmm.
threat hunt, I mean, you're crafting those detection rules within Defender based upon what you're trying to look for. In Sentinel, they have this feature that's called like live. And so basically, if Josh was to tell me, hey, Gilly, we need real time updates on this UPN or this principle, it could be, is this vulnerability impacting anything in the environment? Let's just check. That's where advanced hunting is really powerful. And then I think in Sentinel, it's just there's a tab that just says logs or logs management, but then there's another feature in there that's hunting. And so they're not perfect on how they right. Other people can correct me, but they're not perfect in their terminology sometimes.
That's good. That's good. Now okay. That's what I was thinking because pretty much like I said, just to add on what you guys are saying. Like this is one guy I follow on X, and he worked for Microsoft. I think he's been doing it for like 15 years, and it was a 0 that came out, but there's no patch for it. So people was asking him what to do. So he said, "All right, let's set up a VM machine. Let's go see if we can run the 0 day on the VM machine. All right, create a KQL for it. Have that, and then make a alert and a detection for that. So when that certain thing happens, either isolate, kick them out, block, whatever, yada yada yada. So yeah. So no, what you guys saying? Good. What you think about that, Gil and Josh?
That makes sense. It sounds like he's trying to like detonate that. I don't know what it was, but maybe detonate those 0-day payload in a sandbox and then see what kind of IOCs gets triggered by the detonation of the, of the thing, and then make KQL queries to match those IOCs. That's what pretty much what we were doing in the threat hunting lab. We do some threat. Yeah. I think it's good. I mean, as long as it don't come out of the sandbox.
Man, hey, don't worry, I'm not gonna try it.
That's funny. Yeah, I think in my head, one of the best ways to like guard against IOC is to just don't have those attack surface, or minimize your attack surface as much as, to guard against a 0-day is to like just minimize your attack surface, because like we don't know where like the 0-day is, like what 0-day is going to come out. Because there's like a million 0-days existing, but they're just being hoarded by like governments and like nation states and like, these like people with a lot of money. So if you don't know like what's going to be affected by the 0-day, if you reduce your attack surface as much as possible, it like kind of guards against that. So for example, if we're running like, you're running an old version of Apache or something, and it's like, no, that's not a good example. Say you have like some software that you don't need, like you have like some version of SQL that's exposed to the internet where people can run queries against. If you don't even need that, and then a 0-day comes out for it and you get compromised, it's stupid because you didn't even need to have the SQL in the first place. So it's good to like reduce your attack surface as much as possible, because if the 0-day comes out for SQL and then you don't have SQL, you don't have SQL exposed to the internet, for example, you won't be like susceptible to the 0-day. So that's like one of those like good way to guard against, or rather why reducing attack surface as much as possible is good. Because like all our shit, I shouldn't say that, but there's like a lot more 0-days existing than people like actually realize.
That's why I like, I mean, I don't want to say I like, but like the NIST CSF model, right? We start with identify and then detect. So like Josh was saying, if we don't even know we have SQL and there's just some rogue, like depending on what company you come into, they might really need your help. Like, hey, we have no idea what this is. And then you find, okay, John from HR was able to stand up his own, I don't know, Josh, maybe you've worked for a small company in the early days, like, it could be as simple as like we have 30 machines that are running Windows 7, which is an unsupported, outdated operating system. Admins are users and users are admins. Like, it's very reasonable to assume that some companies out there are still experiencing some basic cybersecurity. Just why don't we know what these are?
Yeah, I was the John in my early career. I was like a bad what's it called, internal threat actor on accident. I would just like do all kinds of crazy stuff because I was just trying to like learn and experiment, but I didn't really realize what I was doing. And I made some like internal utility that managed user accounts, but I like hard coded domain admin credentials like into the source code of that, and I do a lot of stuff, and I realize like a lot of people do that because they just like don't know any better. It's good to like identify everything you have, not just like your computers, but like apps and like even air gapped stuff, because there's attack vectors, like too many unnecessary attack vectors, like stuff that you have that you don't necessarily even need to have, and it's just like increasing attack surface. It's good to stay on top of those.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Sure. One more question. I'm gonna let everybody else talk. Josh and Gilly, what's your perspective on like honeypots, deception tools? Make them public facing, make them look really, really good for the bad guy, and like, what's the best way to go about that? And what's your guys' take on that?
I can talk a bit. I'm really rudimentary, and I tend to do a lot of stuff without even researching. So for like the CyberRange honeypot, let me see if I can like even do this log analytics. So for the CyberRange honeypot, like the Linux target one and what's the other one? Windows target one. I try to make them like as enticing as possible by like making them open to ICMP echo requests, because if you open it to like ICMP echo requests on like every possible port, it's going to be more sooner to be discovered by like Shodan and like other random like scanners on the internet. Yeah, so I just open everything up completely, and then that's pretty much like that's pretty much all I did. I want to do more stuff on them, like install like some Maria database or some random thing to like let people try to log into it still, but I don't really have any like methodology or anything like really fancy to say. I just like open up ICMP so that it gets discovered faster, and then just like let people like try to get into it. I don't know if Gilly want to say something, or if I didn't even like answer your question.
I think from my perspective, if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, I think understanding what a honeypot is and like knowing when that could be useful in the business use case. But if you don't know, you know what I mean, Trevino, if you don't know, if there's not a clear business defined use case in the corporate world, there's this whole other element of like change management, just basic IT bureaucracy. And so if you're on like an offensive security team, then it just really depends on what role you want to get into. And I think as a cyber nerd, I think that's why I like the range, is because I can nerd out on it. And Josh has pretty much already done the legwork for me. So it's more like, this is really fun and I like it. But like for me, I don't know if I would be like Josh in his early days and just start it up, stand one up in our Azure environment and just for funsies,
Trying to like summarize the activities against the targets in the cyber range. So let me like, okay, log on failed. Okay, where, and see like what we can see. I haven't looked at this in a while. Let me do like a long time ago. Login failed. We can say, see what comes out. Failure equals count by, what is this? Any more questions? Well, I'm just like typing these randomly. By account domain, remote IP, action type. So I'm just trying to see, how many attacks against random stuff in the cyber range has occurred over the last month or so. I'll order them by failure count. Maybe I should say like, oh shit, maybe like the last, I don't know, where time generated. Maybe the last 2 weeks. I think it's like too many records otherwise. So we can see like the number one offender. I think this 10008, I think this might be like the Tenable scan engine, to be honest. But let's take a look. Portal.
That would make sense if it can't authenticate and it's just trying over and over and over again.
Yeah, because there's something you can check about where you can try some like random easy passwords to log. I forget what the scan setting is called, but it's like something that attempts to log in with easy passwords or something. Let's see, I bet it is the scan engine. Where it is the scan engine. So
that's awesome.
The number one failure to log in is a scan engine, and then the number two random threat actor on the internet is this person. So I think we can like Security. We can probably like. Ah, damn! I can't do this on my account. That sucks. I need to like log in, but I have to open LastPass and everything. But this is like the number 2 like random offender like trying to log into stuff like from some random place on the internet. It's some bad actor. I wonder if this like, do people still use VirusTotal these days?
100%.
See like what's so for anyone wondering what this is like the number of failures to like try to breach different computers in the cyber range, and then this is like the number 1 like bad actor on the internet who's been trying to breach stuff on the cyber range, like of 600 failures in like the last 2 weeks. And then I just looked up the IP address on VirusTotal, which is like you can see if something is bad for lack of better description, and it looks like it's a Chinese IP address, and it looks like there are like what is this, vendors analysis, like a bunch of vendors are categorizing this IP address as malicious, probably because they're trying to log into their shit as well. So it's just an interesting activity I'm doing. Yeah. The more of the scan engine, and then this person, I don't know who this person is. Oh, this one seems okay.
See, that kind of goes back to like Josh has a good understanding of what that IP was, so he knew that 10.0.0.8, like, hey, this is a known good IP. Even though those 4.18 didn't show anything bad in VirusTotal, I'd be like, hey Josh, you're the network owner, what is this? And if it's not something it's not like expected activity, then I'd be like, okay, what is this? We should probably investigate that a little bit further.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And Josh, I don't know if I think it's a future thing, but like once you are any machines onboarded with Defender yet? Like actually onboarded with Microsoft Defender
Yeah,
for endpoint?
they should be, because they should I can't log into that portal right now because like I have to like show my LastPass and stuff, but they should be, and there's like they should automatically onboard, but there's like instructions for how to do it, and then people have been onboarding them, so yeah, there should be.
Okay.
Let me look. It should be in here somewhere. Defender endpoint detection. Oh yeah, onboarding virtual machine to MDE, and then there's like instructions on like how to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
But for sure, like the 2 honeypots, I guess, they should be onboarded, like Linux Target 1 and Windows Target 1. These are onboarded, and they're just like on 100% of the time, so people can just like look up attacks against those. Yeah. Anybody have any other questions? So we're on here. Anything you want to talk?
Come on, guys. I'm trying to give y'all a chance to talk. I can get in here and talk.
Haven't heard from anybody.
I guess I'm not shy. Josh Gilly, I see Max in the chat. He was talking about phishing, and I remember asking Gilly this too in the chat one day. I said, Gilly, what's probably the most stuff you see at work? He said he just said it. 9 times out of 10, most attacks be phishing. And then Max posted the same thing in the chat. So definitely want to get you guys' take on like what do you actually see? Is it somebody clicking the wrong email, or somebody sending an email with a PDF attached to it, or an image attached to it, and they got a bad file? Like, what do you see that really tricks a lot of people and like what's the big deal? Like, I see Josh
Yeah,
smiling.
the most crazy thing that I've seen is I worked at a bank, and then there was somebody in the bank in the back office who communicates with other banks, like their back office member, and but the other bank's email got compromised. So it was their like legit email account, but they would send stuff to our bank and then get them to like disclose information or send money or something or send some transfers to somewhere. It was like a legit other bank account got compromised, and they sent a phishing email, but it was legit. So like the person couldn't. I don't know. Maybe you understand like what I'm trying to say. The account was like real, so our bank person got tricked as well. So I saw that. That was impressive, and I don't know if I would be able to guard against that unless like I really knew the person who was talking to me and like what they were saying was like not normal. That was like really impressive. Other than that, it's like boneheaded stuff, like just like links and like documents and stuff that people open that have like macros or something like this. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Yeah, so I could speak to it a little bit. So we train our users to understand who their vendors are and confirm, right? Because we you know, vendor compromise is a very real thing, and so if I train my users on, if you don't know why they're sending you a PDF, or you have you're not directly communicating with them about a project or an invoice, then don't trust it. Report it. If it ends up being real, I can release it back to you. As far as, I think Josh nailed it on the head. Like, if user awareness is our best defense against phishing, and so if you have a good awareness of what they're using, like what type of what they're crafting, and they're getting better at it with they have their own version of ChatGPT, right? So typically, like, they're going to try to appeal some sort of sense of urgency to the user, right? This all comes down to kind of what platform you're using. So like Microsoft Defender for Office 365, once Josh gets to onboarding that, and like him and his team kind of have a good model for it, I think they'll be able to see what they want to allow in and not block to a honeypot email account. So think of like a honeypot email account, right? Not just a machine. And so you would make a honeypot email account, and Josh would just sign up for all the baddest shit. And like sign up for online, sign up for all these free like
Crypto.
surveys, and then like, and then you would see, if you just left Microsoft Defender the way it is by default. This is another like key point. A lot of companies pay for like their Office 365 security, and they just assume that by default it's gonna work its magic. So we take very ample time in crafting those settings to be exactly what we think is the best, and then we follow best practices on on configuring our Defender for Endpoint. And that's where XDR is good. Trevino is they have great documentation on, and there's tons of resources out there for configuring Defender for 365, and it's not just emails now. So think of Teams. If your environment is configured to let anybody and everybody message your users on Teams, there's Teams phishing, and people will be like, "Oh, that's even trickier than email, because if you're getting instant messages in your corporate Teams, it's almost like out of annoyance, people are just going to try to like get rid of it, or um, that. Luckily, in my company, we, you know, that's not a problem. But first, you may come into an organization that's never is just onboarding no before or 365 for the first time, and they just have default settings.
Yeah, bro. Gilly, me and Josh was just talking about that before everybody got on about how to set up the email phishing part. So I think that's a good idea. And man, to add what you guys saying, it's exactly true. Because in one of my jobs I was at, the main way how the system will always get hacked, somebody would compromise one of the company email, and we was using Outlook. And like I said, they'll sign up for Outlook some kind of way. They'll get an Outlook account that's affiliated with the company. And then they would go in there and start just wreaking havoc. Then everybody would start getting crazy emails. Then everybody would start getting certain stuff popping up on their computers. It'll be like, update your browser, relog in. I'm like, I'm already logged in. Why am I going to log back in? I'm already logged in. I'm like, hey, somebody in y'all system. No, no one is in our system. Yep, somebody's in y'all system. I'm getting pop-ups. It's in the chat Slack. Everybody's getting pop-ups. And the emails are going off. Then like, the next thing we know, up the system's down. Somebody got in the email. So yeah. So yeah, that's interesting that you guys said pretty much the same thing. Yeah, that's what I see too a lot at work.
I do like know before. It's really interesting. We had know before training. It's like the security awareness training at my previous job. And I felt like I was like watching a Netflix. It was like a really like entertaining training. So if anyone's like, needing to do that for their work, I recommend checking it out. It's really nice.
I think now too, if you pay for like the premium Microsoft Enterprise version, they have their own, like you can keep it all integrated within Microsoft, and you can configure it to send users training or do attack simulations. That's one of the things as like you may do in a cybersecurity role is be the one to configure phishing campaigns. So you're trying to gather data. Typically it's, I don't know, like board driven down, like they want to see how effective the training is. And so they want metrics on like, are we effectively training our folks? It kind of gets rocky because some people have the perspective that why are we targeting our own users, and it's not meant to target them, it's meant to assess the effectiveness of our training platform. And like with anything, if you have to build like a security culture. If you just assign people know before trainings and they just do it, it kind of becomes like those, we've all done those like company required trainings where we just click next, next, next and there's really no like value in them. So like, if we can find ways to make, like Josh said, like if we can find ways to make it actually entertaining and valuable, then it sticks a little bit better.
I had a look at the reviews of Know Before, and I found it funny that it's all 1 stars because of the. It wasn't security or anything; it was the actual employees saying how annoying the training is. So I guess it just doesn't work for some like environments and cultures and stuff.
Yeah, people definitely think that security training is annoying, and that's the that's the uphill battle. It's like it becomes this caked in, and whether it's quarterly or annual requirement, and so that's why I think sometimes getting face to face and those soft skills are really important especially with end users. If they view the security team as people and not like these overlords, then it becomes more, like
Yeah, I think the vibe of the reviews were like the security was trying to trick them and trying to like make them trip up, and yeah, it's a thing to consider.
No, I think the training good. We had them. We had those training a lot. They'll send us all kind of bogus emails. If I didn't know you, I ain't clicking on it or even opening the email. If I didn't know you or you didn't post and send me an email like Gilly was saying, I ain't clicking on nothing. I'm not sending nothing. I don't want nothing. Nope.
Yeah, for those who don't know about like know before and like security training, like one of the components of it is you'll set up like an email campaign, and then you'll send like actual phishing emails to your employees, and you can pick like how difficult you want the phishing to be. If you want it to be like a really easy one, there'll be like a bunch of obvious mistakes, and like the bad URL will be really obvious. But if you make it like really hard, it will be like kind of difficult to detect if it's like phishing or not. And then the idea is you send those like phishing email to your users, and then you can see like who clicked it, right? And then with that, you can kind of you can measure the efficacy or like the effectiveness of your security training. And you can like, a lot of the times companies will do like prizes. So if everyone in the department like passes, like they don't click phishing email for like whatever the whole campaign, maybe they'll get like a bonus or like a pizza or something like this. And then on the flip side, if somebody like clicks the link like every time, they have to do like more and more remedial training, and people can even get like they can get disciplined or like let go if they fail the phishing campaign like too many times. So it's kind of like it can be like a contentious period. But if I was doing this as the CISO, or whoever was running the training, I might even like spend my own money and a lot of my time to work individually, depending on how big the org was, to make sure like make people as comfortable as they can, because like they have to do it anyway. So if you give them like money, if you're allowed to do that, or pizza, or like whatever motivates them, it can like ease the blow a little bit and get them to pay attention to it, especially if there's like prizes involved. But yeah, it's like sending phishing email to like everyone and seeing who clicks it, and then being able to measure like your user awareness based on that. Yeah, I think it's fun. I want to do something like that in the cyber range, but like I don't know how that would work in terms of like licensing. It's gonna get like quite expensive. Yeah, so I'm about to travel. I'm gonna go back to Thailand for a few weeks to like really like lock in and work, because I'm about to like the Skool Games is happening right now, and the cyber range is on Skool, and the cyber range is like number 1 in the tech category for Q1 of this year, which is fucking bonkers.
Really?
Yeah, I can show you.
Man, that's crazy.
Thanks.
Congrats, bro.
I didn't realize, like, let me share my screen. I didn't realize like this was happening until like a while after I launched the community. And then yeah, it was really, really crazy. So if you go to Skool Games, and if you win, I'll explain this. This will be like the last like 5 minutes of our thing, but this is the Skool Games community. And if you go to leaderboards, there's like categories for all these. And then if I go to tech, mine is like the number 1 by like a long way, like a big like margin. And if you get like top 5 in your category, then you get to like fly to LA and meet. I don't know if you guys know who Alex Hormozy is, but I'll show you. Alex Hormozy is this guy. He does business, and he's like venture capital, so or private equity. And then you can fly to meet him and like do all this like cool stuff. And I noticed that I was like winning the tech category by like a large margin, and I'm almost, I think it's possible to win like all overall like everything, because the business category is like the number 1 for Q1. It's not like that far ahead of me, and their last 7 days MMR is like a third of mine. So I'm gonna go to like Thailand, and then I'm gonna go to a hotel where all my shit is taken care of, and I'm just gonna like try to make a lot of content, and then try to improve the cyber range and interact a lot in the community to try to like win overall. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm about to like leave today and then go there. I don't know why I shared that, but it just like came to mind.
When does this wrap up? When do they like announce?
I think it's I think it's probably the beginning of April, or like the very end of March, because it goes by quarters now. So like Q1 of 2025. So maybe I have like 2 more months. So I might just stay there for like 2 months and just be like locking in and trying to like, do good at what I'm supposed to be doing, and making sure that everyone is okay.
How do we help you win? How do we help you win?
You don't have to do anything like extra. I think so recently I got this like title. It's like top 1% of community builders. and this is based off of like engagement inside the community. All the communities I own, which is Cyber Community and Cyber Range. So to help me win, you can just do your normal stuff and interact in the community, I guess. You don't have to really do anything too crazy. To like win-win, like from a monetary standpoint, if you tell like people, your friends, the Cyber Range is good and they join, that's cool. But I ain't never planned to like tell people to do that. I usually want that to happen like organically. But I think I'm probably going to win my category because I'm ahead by so much. But I'll try to like put in those extra footwork and organically win like overall, so I can beat this person. Sorry, Michelle. Maybe you'll beat me. Like I don't know, but yeah, that's all. Oh yeah, that's like another reason. So I was planning to like increase the. This is like just a random like off-topic chatting, but I was planning to increase the cost of the Cyber Range on the 15th of this month. But after I seen that I was like winning the Skool Games, I was like, damn, I better to just like, optimize it on the back end as much as I can to reduce the cost, and then just try to keep the cost low. So there's like a low barrier to entry, and then just like let a lot of people join if possible. Because it has like without expanding and getting a second subscription, there's like a max capacity of like 960 people, but we're only at like a third of the capacity now. So I'll probably keep the cost the same as it is now until like Q2, and then I'll probably start incrementally slowly increasing it. I might just leave it the same, to be honest, because the churn rate is really low. Like people are like not leaving the Cyber Range very much. It's like a really low amount of people unsubscribing. So I'll try to keep the quality up to organically. I don't like to tell people like don't leave, and when they leave, I don't like to be like hey, don't go. Like I don't want to do this. I try to do all those like organically and like make the quality like really high, so people like organically like tell their friends, or they organically like stay a long time. So I'm gonna try to like really like focus on different ways to like make this Cyber Range better, and like listen to your guys' suggestions, and add those like phishing components to Defender for Endpoint, and just make the quality good. So yeah, I'm trying to work on that. So if anyone has like suggestions, I guess if you want to help, just let me know your suggestions, and then just continue to interact in the community as normal. Like don't force yourself to do it, but yeah, that's all.
That's good because, like I said, you just started with the Cyber Range. Just opened up a month and a half ago. So when it first came online, I was so happy. I was like, oh, he actually doing this? I said, oh, he pretty brave. Most people would never do this. I said, let me take advantage of this before it get closed down or he stopped. I was like, let me just go in here and just crank it out before because I'm like, this don't happen every day. So like I said, definitely happy that you did it. And it seemed like Gilly got the cheat codes. He said, hey, just get the Microsoft 365. Have 2 email honeypots and just sign up for all kind of crazy stuff. And then, then we can just go in there and just do some KQLs.
Yeah,
I
I'll
don't know.
definitely do that. And yeah, there's like a lot of liability, and it's really troublesome to like run this because there's a lot of you've seen so many gymnastics that I have to do, and I know like a lot of like big company are not going to want to do what I'm doing with this because it's frankly it's like kind of. I mean, I'm getting a lot of money, but I have like a full staff, and I work like all day. I work, so it's I can see like why other people aren't doing it, and like there's like try hack me and hack the box and like offensive security and stuff, but I feel like their thing is like more tightly controlled. My thing is like open, and I think people are like really like averse to doing that, but I don't really care. I just do my best to like make it as safe as possible, and if something explodes, then I'll just like deal with it at the time. But yeah, I'm glad you guys appreciate it. I'll try to make it like better and better and better, but yeah, I don't know. Any like final question or like anything before I like pack and like leave? You can literally ask me anything or say anything you want. Anything.
Okay, so I just want to like it's for everyone the question. So I know like there is like interview like in the interview there's gonna be other people, 2 3 other people, and is there any way I can stand out if you guys have any suggestions?
Sorry, I'll answer like really fast. But the first thing that comes to mind for me is like, do all those like basic things and like good presentation and all of that. But you can ask them the question like, from your point of view, what does a successful candidate look like for this position? Or you could ask something like, how can I go like above and beyond your expectations for this position? Or like, what is like 150% success for this position look like? These kind of like question will kind of put their mind at ease, because it shows that you are proactive in trying to like fill the business need. So yeah, so anything like that where you're acknowledging the business need for the position, you're willing to like preemptively exceed that. Those are like really, that would like make me really happy to hear, somebody who hires people. But yeah, anyone else want to add to those?
Yeah, sure, I can add to it. One of my favorite questions, especially when it's my turn for them, say, "Hey, you got any questions for?" I'm like, yeah, sure. I always ask them, "What problem are you guys trying to solve, and how soon are you trying to solve it?" That let me know right there exactly what are they trying to hire me for. What's the problems they got right there. Soon as they tell me that, I'm gonna pretty much pour from my portfolio, my project, and just rattle off and solve their problem. How I would do it right there in real time. Every time I done it, instantly got the job, or I got 2, 3 jobs, or I got to figure out which one I want to pick. And that's my biggest problem. Like, honey, I don't know which job to pick. And like I said, cause that for some reason it kind of get them, cause most time they gonna be kind of fluffing around, but when you ask them that question, like, hey, what's the like what are you guys trying to solve, and how soon you trying to solve? And most of the time, somebody in an interview, they'll just flat out tell you, hey, we got 1,000 fires to put out, we got debugging to do, and you just tell them how you would solve it right there, and they be like, yep, you're
That's
hired.
a good one. Yeah. So proactive attention to business need, in your conveying that you're ready to like meet the business need, rather than be reactive and try to like wait to be told what to do. Because no one, you know, yeah. What Trevino said, that's like a really really good one.
Thank you, Trevino, and thank you, Josh, as well.
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think Josh spoke to it a little bit, but those like scenario based questions, like you'll stand out if you have obviously prepared and been thoughtful about some of those scenario based questions compared to somebody who hasn't really put any critical thinking to them. People in interviews where they kind of revert to their monkey brain answers, right? And so if you've obviously thought about like where those scenario based questions where they're like, think about a time where you've implemented something and it's failed, how have you responded, what did you do to, you know, what was your thought process after you have, missed the mark. And so think about some of those scenario based questions, and maybe I think Josh talked about the STAR method. If Is that right? I think that, yeah. So those scenario, just maybe come up with like 15 or 20 potential scenario based questions, write them down, use the STAR method, and then just practice them. And I think you have plenty of time before your interview to go at least through, that's far better than somebody who didn't even do that, and consider that.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to do, like those scenario based questions, I'm trying to like, as like Trevino just said, I'm trying to merge them together, like the business needs and how I dealt with the situation, let's say, or like had a past experience. So let's see what happens. You're gonna know in the next week. I'm gonna update everyone.
Good
Thank
luck,
you so
man.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah, good luck. Yeah, 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 yeah. Some companies they'll try to get real technical, but none of all the technical questions that they ask, and they don't even do it at work. So as soon as they give me that opportunity to ask that question, that's the first question I ask. Then most of the time after that, they don't even ask me nothing else. Then, then another question I ask them right before I get off the phone. I kind of sweat even when I ask it, even though I've rehearsed it 1,000 times. Hey, I asked them, is there anything? Is there any reason why you wouldn't hire me for this position? They pretty much put them on blast right there to see, hey, are you gonna ghost me or you want to hire me right now? Most of the time, they will actually tell you, oh yeah, that you'll either get some kind of rebuttal. Oh, we looking for y'all, this, that. Or no, we actually gonna hire you. We just gotta interview these other people just to go through the process. Then we're gonna call you back. Oh, okay. Or we're gonna go with this other person. All right, okay. That means I don't have to watch my email. I don't have to sit around and are they gonna call me? Or if they're not gonna call me, I don't have to worry about that. So be like, all right, next. But that's it. I'm done for the day.
Cool. Yeah.
That's funny. I never thought to do that. That's interesting. Cool. Yeah, well, I have to drop, but I appreciate everybody's time. I'm sorry about the internet connectivity. It'll be better next week. It should be, because I'll have like a proper hotel internet. Yeah, thank you so much to everybody's good input. It's really good. I'll have the editors clean this up so it's more more easy to listen to, and then I'll post it in the community. But yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'll see everybody in a week.
Thanks, Josh. Good luck in Thailand.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. See you guys in the forums. Bye-bye.